enjoy the ride.
Thank you very much, Benny, for the introduction. Thank you very much for all of you for joining the call. Thank you, Gleason, for organizing all this, doing all the background work behind it. I see some of the names I recognize as well. With what I do know is that this is a webinar with people from all around the world. So that is very exciting. I will talk about motivation, and I hope that at the end of the webinar, you will say to yourself, oh my God, what motivates me? What motivates the people that are important to me in my private life? What motivates the people at work? And how can I use that knowledge more? So I hope I will be intriguing you for the subject of motivation, and you will see that it is really the subject itself is very magical. Now, without further ado, let me start. So when I was a kid, I'm of Turkish origin. I used to have a little room in Istanbul, which basically you could fit my bed inside, and in the evenings in my room. And I hope that some magical thing comes and touches me and gives me Superman's powers. What would I do if I had those powers? I would be focused on doing something that really I want to achieve, that I would have powers that I didn't know I had, and I would be dreaming about that in my bed. Actually, I do get these supernatural powers. I don't get anyone coming into my room and touching me, but when I am motivated, I have exactly that. I am full of power. I find powers within me that I didn't know existed, and I focus on something and I achieve things. It is same thing. You become a super person, a superwoman, a superman when you are motivated. I will give you a little example. In that bedroom, I was in the evenings, I used to listen to international radios in the evenings, and one night I listened to a radio program from BBC World Service, and it was music from the Pacific. And it was even the names of the countries were so beautiful, like Vanuatu, Papua New Guinea, Tahiti, Tonga. Instead of making me happy, it just put a fear in me. I said, I will never be able to touch the Pacific. I will never be able to go there. You know, a Turkish boy in Istanbul to get a visa, to get a job, it's all impossible. You know, I'm talking about probably end of 1970s. But then next day, I had that superpower within me. I said to myself, I will touch the Pacific. So I went to the embassy of Papua New Guinea and said, "Do you take volunteer workers?" I went to the embassies of some of the other countries, to UNHCR, and I applied to few universities. And eventually, I got acceptance from a university in Sydney, Australia. I couldn't believe I was going to go to Australia. I took flights via Karachi, Kuala Lumpur, and next day I was in Sydney, and next morning, I ran from my house to the famous Bondi Beach, and I jumped into the water. I was crying and laughing at the same time and saying that I have touched Pacific. You know, motivation is something like that. You focus on an objective, you find powers, you try so much that you achieve things which are almost impossible. And you have lived it as well. You have lived it when you fell in love with someone and you wanted to meet and win the heart of that person. You lived it when you wanted to do something for your kid or some loved one, or achieving something professionally as well. We all live this moment of becoming a super person for a period of time, and then we forget it. It is an amazing thing. We forget it afterwards. Now, if it's such a wonderful thing, you know, motivation is such a wonderful thing, you turn into a superpower, you should be able to motivate yourself and motivate the other people. It should be normally easy, you would think, but it is not easy. The reason it is not easy is that we are all motivated differently. Some are motivated from recognition. Some are motivated from working in a beautiful team. Some are motivated from achieving things, or achieving something very difficult. I was just watching a program, and the guy he was doing like sports, like jumping off the precipices with parachutes. And I was saying to myself, oh my God, this is definitely not going to motivate me. So We are all motivated differently. And there the difference, the distance starts. When we communicate with each other, when we try to motivate each other, uh, we don't understand that the other person is motivated slightly differently from yourself. And that's a big problem, and it's a problem in communication. Not only individuals, like here is the example, generations. I made an analysis of my database of about 1,000 people of X generation and Z generation. I said, is there a difference between what motivates young people or millennials versus are us old people, the X generation? I see Gleason is very carefully looking at it and saying, did he pick it? Now, three, I was amazed to see that out of the 18 categories here, uh, 15 have got no difference at all, no significant difference at all. Three areas millennials are motivated differently. First of all, self-interest. They want to spend their time on things which are useful. They will not basically do things which just to make other people happy. They are interested in self-interest. They are logical and they are assertive. They want their thinking to be taken care by the other people. In my young years, when you were young, no one asked your opinion because you were young. But now the young people say no. My opinion matters as well. I want you to ask. So uh, here the message is that not only we are different one person to another, but one generation to another is also different. When you look at the country differences, you see differences. I have just recently have done Indonesia and previously before that China. Amazingly, the different motivators compared to some Europeans. So we are very different in the way we are motivated. Now, there's this guy called David McClelland who led the Harvard's psychology department for about 30 years. He was as curious about the motivation subject as I was, and he made a lot of research and basically summarized his research in a beautiful book called Human Motivations. I encourage you to obtain that and read it. And basically, he says, you know, you can be motivated from several things, 30, 40 different things. We can be, what motivates me and what motivates Benito could be different. But you can group that under three headings. Uh, Three headings is some of us are motivated from the work we do. We are really focused on producing perfect work to meet our targets, being very logical, and receiving feedback. This group, for example, loves receiving feedback, doesn't want recognition. They say, give me feedback that can improve my achievement. The second group is motivated from the relationship with the other people around them. So recognition, nice team environment, social contact. They basically get motivated from people, not from the work they do. And the third group is power. Uh, and I can tell you, I do a lot of coaching in the last 16 years, and I see that that power thing is the most difficult one. Uh, those ones who are motivated from power see power as the ultimate thing. When they go into a meeting room, they probably look at who is more powerful, who is less powerful. They see things from the filter of power. They want to be respected. They want to lead the ideas. And they are ego driven and so forth. So the three group, which you have in your companies, they are all behaving differently. I remember some time ago, one pharmaceutical company said, we want to increase the motivation in our company. Therefore, we want all the managers to give recognition to their people on a regular basis. Yes, this is working for the affiliation group, but not the other two. They don't care about recognition. Actually, I am sure among you, there will be some people that will actually not like, dislike too much recognition. If I keep on giving you compliments and so forth, or your boss starts to give you too much compliments, you say, stop, just tell me what I need to do better. Just tell me what you see there. So assuming that all of us are the same is not correct. We are all different, and you can sort of summarize it under three groups. Now, this is important for workplace because, we try to motivate people by giving them salary rises. We try to motivate them with giving them promotions, beautiful titles. Um, but usually their effect is very short-lived. They motivate you for a while and eventually it wears off. Whereas if the person is motivated from work, they are doing that lasts forever. It goes forever. So it is very important for businesses. Now, this is why I'm assuming a lot of you are in the human resources area. Um, you look at something called engagement. I looked at the definition of the engagement. Engagement is the motivation you have towards the work you are doing and towards the company you are doing, and sometimes towards your supervisor. You like your supervisor? Do you like your company? Do you like the work? If you are engaged, your performance, you have 27% more chance to be a top performer in your company. Those of you who know that when we look at who is a top performer, we know anyway that there's a small percentage of people who are in the top tier. So it means that if you are engaged, you are in that top tier. It's very important for your performance. I want you to think at the periods in your life when you were really, really very motivated and you performed. It was reflected on your performance. Individuals can be motivated and perform very well, but also groups. I will give you an example of a group performing very well. It's an example that is very close to my heart. It must have been around 1997. That was when my first son was born. I was responsible for the logistics of aircraft maintenance in Brussels airport. Okay. So there was 160,000 spare parts that you need to have in stock to look after all the planes that come and go to the airport. And one night I received a phone call. I went to the airport. The office was burning, the warehouse was burning, all the spare parts have gone, all the office was gone. So these are actually pictures from that Brussels Zaventem airport fire from 1997. So I was there and I was very demoralized. I saw my supervisor. I said, I don't have all my memories are gone. I don't have any job anymore. It is incredible. Last night when I left this building, I had a job, I had all these memories, and now they are gone. My boss at the time, a very wise guy called Jean Demey, he said, Ahmed, your memories were not in that building. Your memories are in your mind. And what you lived through tonight probably increased your memories. You will remember this in the future. And now, after so many years, after 25, 27 years, I do remember that night. And he said, you think you don't have a job now? Actually, you will realize that your job is becomes important tonight. Your job is not about shifting spare parts. Tomorrow to this airport, tens of thousands of people will be coming. Some will be probably trying to fly just to see their mother before she dies. Some will go to a very important meeting. Some will go for a honeymoon. Some will just go for a vacation that they saved money all the year. And now you will understand how important your job is. Your job is to keep those aircraft flying. Oh my God. It was the magic thing. He touched my motivation button and I gathered my group. We found an empty hangar, very similar to this, cleaned it, cleaned the floor with chalk. We made lines on the floor. We made a list of all the essential spare part we should be having. If you know Europe, you will know that Brussels is about like 1.5, 2 hours to several airports, Paris airport, Amsterdam Airport and Luxembourg are very close. Frankfurt is not that far either. So we sent people by car, by truck, to those warehouses, to those airports to get some of the basic spare parts. And one of the guys knew how to fly planes. I don't exaggerate it. He flew a Hercules plane to Madrid airport to get some of the bigger and more difficult parts. It was just amazing. And the result was that that day, the next day, there was not a single plane that stayed on the tarmac because we couldn't do the basic maintenance on those airplanes. So you see, when you are motivated, when your team is motivated, you can do things which appear impossible. Your creativity goes to the ceiling. You find solutions to things that you thought you couldn't find. Um, I'm sorry, my dog is barking at the background. It's not only about performance, it's also about attrition. Uh, According to Gallup, you have got 59% less chance to look for another job in the next 12 months if you are engaged at work. You know, what an important thing. But we all know it. We all, when we felt disengaged in our work, we all looked at LinkedIn to job adverbs to, we started to look elsewhere when we felt, "Ah, I'm not happy here." So uh, now we are talking about motivation, engagement. Wonderful thing. It increases performance. It reduces staff turnover, talent turnover. So you would think that naturally, probably all the companies are focusing on engagement, and there is huge engagement in those companies. I see HR leaders getting all rewards for happy place and so forth. So you would think that motivation and engagement is top of the agenda in the companies, but it is not, as you can guess from my introduction. Uh, Worldwide average is 21%. So 21% of the employees say they are engaged. That means 1/5 of all the people. In the US, it's a little bit higher. It's 1/3. So that means that if you walk into a meeting room, if you walk into a business place, there will be, out of those people, two-thirds will be not engaged. They will be probably looking for another job, and they will be just pretending to work, working at a low performance, and there will be one happy guy or lady among them. Brazil is uh, slightly lower, 28%. So bad, worse. Mexico a little bit lower, Chile a little bit lower, Argentina gets lower. Now we are getting to 1 in 5, very close to the world average, and Canada as well. Okay, so uh, what is common in all those countries is that it's all very bad. When I saw those numbers, I was shocked. Imagine you go to a workplace and you see a very small percentage of people who are engaged and who like their job, who like their company, who like their supervisor. So that is a very bad thing. So automatically, companies like Gallup and other companies asked the question. They said, why is this like that? Who is to blame for this? Who is to blame? And the answer, 70% said the boss. The boss is to blame for it. I'm disengaged because of my boss. Now, in the beginning, you look at with the face value and you say, yeah, bad bosses, bad managers. Uh, but let's be honest. Those managers are the ones that we have handpicked among all the employees. They are the most intelligent ones. They are the most disciplined ones. They are the ones who try to achieve things most. How could we manage to get those supervisors, those managers to act so badly? I'll tell you the answer. Because we don't give them a training. They don't know how to motivate their people. I have been there. When I was first running a warehouse, I just didn't know. Um, it is like the Squid Game. I wanted to make the music of Squid Game, but apparently you don't hear it. I will still try it. I don't know whether you hear it at all. No, you don't hear it. So it's like, those places where a lot of new managers start their jobs. They are all wanting to achieve. And unfortunately, 60%, according to Gartner, 60% of first-time managers fail in their first 18 months. I've been in the business world and I do know, you make someone a manager, and then you see that uh, he or she is not doing that well. You try to move the person or the person leaves. A lot of the people have been carnaged like in Squid Games, uh, and just because we don't give them training. Uh, when I first became a manager, they told me I saw my name on an organization chart, and I had 190 people to manage in a warehouse, and I didn't. I had training about how to give feedback. I had training about how to delegate. I had training about how to manage my time effectively. But how to motivate people? No. So I did my best things. Assumed that everyone had the same motivation as me, and it didn't work. Some people left my team, and I made a lot of mistakes. Now, most first-time managers do common mistakes. First of all, they assume that what motivates them will motivate everyone else. But it doesn't work like that. Not everyone is motivated the same way as the others. I remember, I suppose I will not give the company name, like the president of a Europe of a very well-known company was saying, in 5 years we will double the turnover, and there was like cold silence in the room. I mean, he was saying, "Are you not motivated about this?" And there was silence in the room. No, not that was probably something that motivated him, but not everyone else. Uh, Most managers, because they look at tasks, following up objectives. They are very clear things. They know how to do that. This is black and white things, concrete stuff. But motivation is a little bit hocus pocus. So after a while, they say, I will not focus on motivation, and I will just focus on tasks, on giving feedback and so forth. Uh, they turn into business-minded robots, sort of, we get motivated from real people. But when someone becomes a manager, they hide their feelings. They say, I should not look vulnerable. I should look strong. My team should see me without any emotions. I should only talk about pie charts and PowerPoint presentations. Uh, then there is enormous pressure on first-time managers on taking part in conflicts, and they say, I have to say who is right and who is wrong. And they exclude some people. So these are all the wrong things to do to motivate a team. So this is some of the reasons why engagement is so low. By the way, at the end of it, we will have a long Q&A, and I will be asking all your opinions, and we will be able to come back to the thing. There's a beautiful article from my friend Benny, who has written about the flywheel effect. Um, I was going to go into detail on this, but eventually I said, no, let me just give the main message here. The main message is that if you want to motivate your team, you have to do a lot of things as a manager. Yes, performance is one thing, but you have to create an environment of openness, you have to create rapport, you have to manage the conflicts correctly, and you have to create unity. So I would have loved to tell you, do this, and in 3 steps you have got high engagement. No, a leader has to do a lot of things to achieve this beautiful flywheel effect that Benny is talking about, where people feel really united, loving each other, focused on their objectives. But I will give you some golden rules about motivation. Okay, not all of it. I think Gleason will send you the full list. Uh, First of all, don't assume that others are motivated the same way as you are. And we are not just talking about business. Think about your son, your loved one. If you want to influence that person, you have to ask yourself, what motivates this person? How should I bring out arguments to convince the person? Second thing, don't judge motivations. Now, you will say, well, what do you mean by that? The thing is that it is natural that if someone is motivated in a different way than ourselves, we judge them. If I'm, for example, a people person, and I say that I see the name, so I immediately take Isabel Nanin is very logical, very objective oriented. I will say, what is this person, Isabel? Is she a robot or what? She doesn't understand from people. If I am motivated from perfectionism, and if I find that Ricardo is not focusing on the perfectionism, but on the big picture, I will say, oh my God, Ricardo is rubbish. So when someone is not motivated from the same things in ourselves, we judge them, we push them. And I have seen over and over good leaders are the ones who try to understand all different people. They don't judge them and they say, how is that person's mind work? Let me understand and let me see how I can influence that person. Three, look for clues about what motivates people. Now, actually, when you meet someone, uh, you give a lot of clues to the other person. Look at my glasses. Even that one is a clue about what motivates me. Uh, the way I speak, the way I look at you, do I look at you warmly or I look at the air? Uh, do I say, what will other people think? Or do I say, why is this useful? So I give a lot of clues about what motivates me. Read those motivation signs. Look around. It may became a professional illness in me. I mean, I basically look at everyone and try to understand what motivates this person. You can read most people's motivations. Now, you have to align your language with the person's motivation. Uh, you know, supervisors have a sort of learned by heart way of saying thank you or saying I'm angry and so forth. But for example, if a person is motivated from recognition, I have to say to this person, I really appreciate the work you do. But if the person is motivated, for example, learning and self-development, I have to say, Veronica, you will learn so much out of this task. You will be at the end of it. You will be another person. If the person is motivated from team spirit, I will be saying something like, and let me find another victim. So Anna Hasegawa. I have to say, Anna, don't let the team down. This is very important for the team. So good leaders understand what motivates their team members and they change their messages according to this person's motivator. Uh, and match your messages with emotions. In our workshops, there is a part where we do this actually. We have been so uh, taught to not to show our emotions in business that when we say, for example, Marcia, I'm very happy with the work you have done. We don't smile. We look like a robot. Marcia, thank you very much. You are very important to us. We have learned not to show our emotions with our messages. Whereas successful leaders, I mean, look at I also coach political leaders as well, but also business leaders. Those ones who succeed are the ones who match their body language, their composure with the message they give. They don't sit like a robot. We don't get motivated from robots. And last thing I will say is the fact that, um, we always associate motivation with doing your job. But motivation is elsewhere, everywhere. Motivation is, for example, related to whether you like a person or not. If someone is motivated, for example, from showing off, and I am motivated from modesty, I don't talk to that person. Uh, it is related to communication. You probably started listening to me and said, will this guy talk about something that will motivate me or not? The moment you decide, I will talk about some boring subject, you switch off. Uh, it is important for convincing other people. In your negotiation, you can only convince the other person if you can find out what motivates or demotivates the other person and then press those buttons. So don't think that motivation is only about the workplace and performance and attrition. It's also about many other places, many other things. Okay, so Hyper Island has this beautiful program, which includes first an assessment. The assessment looks at what motivates you. You know, we don't always know what motivates us. You know, I left the job of supply chain and logistics when I was 46. I was a group president. I had a floor on a skyscraper and two drivers and two secretaries. Uh, so obviously, until that time, I was lying to myself about what motivates me. I was I was not much. So it is very important. In that test, you find out what motivates you. And also there's a comparison, there's a benchmarking against top performers. There you can see uh, what motivates you a little bit too much, what motivates you a little bit too little. Maybe you are too much motivated about perfectionism. Maybe you are too little motivated about making other people unhappy and so forth. So you see that, and then together with a coach, you develop a development plan. By the way, all participants to this workshop have a right for a one motivation buttons test and a one debrief with me. So please, afterwards, Gleason will do all the logistics about it, do it, and then once you do it, you will see how important it is. Then we have a workshop as well, a little bit covering some of the rules. What does it do? First of all, we have to show managers that motivation is important. They cannot run away from motivation, but also give the rules of the art of motivation. Okay, so that's a very powerful workshop. I can tell you, I haven't had a single client who didn't come back and say, "I want more. I want more." So very, very important. Thirdly, there has to be a follow-up. Why? Because some of those things can be sometimes very moving, but like 3 weeks later, you forget it. Someone behind, if they remind you, it would be good. So maybe 2 months afterwards, a little call just to say, just to remind the person, what are you doing? This is what we've agreed. Are you doing it? What are the obstacles that you come across? So there's that is the program. Okay. Now, I would love you to include all your managers in this program, not only just 5 people, 10 people, and so forth. Why? Because then you create a culture of motivation in the company. Everyone speaks the same language. Everyone is going towards motivating their staff, increasing the performance, reducing the attrition. Uh, but you can always start with little portions. You can say, I just want my top managers. I want my high potentials. I want my first time managers. I want this team. I know that when you do this program, you will come back and you will say, I want more people to take this, please. Okay. Uh, and it is so important. Here I have got the company value of Johnson and Johnson, Apple, Marriott. I could have put some other companies as well. And basically, people first companies go for get great performance. That's it, basically. I'm going to skip the summary because it's taken a little bit longer than I expected. You will get the slides, you can look at it. So let's move to the Q&A, okay? And if you run out of questions, I just want to sort of say, please, for example, you can also share your moments of high motivation or sometimes your moments of demotivation. You can also talk about whether what I've talked about is relevant for your company or not. Okay, so that's basically the end of my spiel, and we can. I hope you have found it interesting. But what will make it interesting is the Q&A session. Please do contribute. Okay. So I stop and I I turn on my camera. Yes, Ben, it's
Yeah,
yours. The floor is yours.
we are open for questions, and this is the most interesting part to hear from you. Estela, do you have any questions? No?
I have seen Anna Hasageba. Oh, yeah, oh, someone is Estela. Yeah.
Thank you. It was amazing to hear. And I was wondering, how can the person to understand what motivates like not just waiting for the leader to do this job, but also
Yeah.
understanding the self-motivation and going through some challenges that can motivate it.
Okay. I suppose the answer to this is that if you ask yourself when were the moments you felt fully motivated? There are certain things that you do that no one asks you to do. You do it because you love it, and there must be some clue about it. I'm going to I mean, we never talked about it with Ben, but I know, for example, Ben loves making research and writing articles uh, based on science and so forth. So I can tell that he's motivated from that. So they can sit down and leave their brain outside because our brain will say, do this, and otherwise you will lose your job and so forth, and ask themselves, when was I happy? And what made me happy?
Right, because I think that sometimes we are expecting a lot from the leaders, and I think it's a shared responsibility. And sometimes I feel like we should be stimulating people also to go to find some things that can motivate them. I don't know.
Uh, it is true. When you are in that pressure environment, you don't ask that question. You think my manager has to motivate me. But as a company, you can create the environment where people can ask that question to themselves.
Perfect. Maybe giving them the opportunity to test ourselves. I don't know, to have like this assessment and understand them.
Yes, absolutely. That test is a good starting point for a beautiful conversation where you ask yourself, what makes me happy and what makes me unhappy?
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can tell you that I did a test with Amit, and I'm 62 years old, and I've been, through 3 waves of psychoanalysis. And I thought I kind of have a pretty good picture about what moved me. And yeah, I'm still trying to digest all the things that Ahmed came back. At the first glance, you say, well, yeah, is that so? And then the possibility to ask yourself questions about what moves you is so powerful in terms of self-knowledge, in terms of really grounding yourself to what really matters. It's very interesting. But as I said before, it also allows you to discover how much you are just, I would say, an event or a result of what other people wanted for you, your mother, your father, your friends, your colleagues, culture. We always say that education is what the world have done with you, but learning is what you do with yourself. So I think learning about motivation is a great learning tool. Instead of being educated, you learn from you.
I
Mateus
see
is asking a question also,
yeah.
Ahmed.
Yes, what's
And
this? Okay. Oops. I see I missed some of the chat information. What advice would you give to someone who wants to cultivate motivation during periods of personal immaturity or emotional growth? You know, I'm 63 and I think I'm still in that period of personal immaturity and emotional growth. I keep on learning. I keep on making mistakes. Now, eh, of course, my sons were very important to me, and I sort of try to talk to them about what motivates them and for them to pick jobs that will motivate them. Juliana, I will come to you. So uh, I think you have to just ask the questions and listen. Now, immediately I remembered this moment where this son was saying, I want to be an actor or something like that, I want to make films. And mom, who was a very achievement oriented person, saying, no, there is no money in that. You cannot be motivated from that. You, you have to allow people to discover what motivates them and allow them to make mistakes to find out. Life is a beautiful journey where you make mistakes, but you cannot push people away from what motivates them. So I hope this answered your question. Julian, I think you were the next one in the thing. Go ahead. You are on mute.
Okay, I'm sorry for that. So first of all, thank you for this content. I'm feeling very motivated right now. But I keep wondering to know, like in large teams, is there a way to identify who is more likely easy to motivate and maybe to have I don't know, the priority to try to motivate by parts, and doesn't it make sense to think that some people just won't be will easily motivated, like to forget about them and focus on the people that you believe you can motivate.
You are a clever
I don't know if
woman,
it makes
Juliana.
sense.
You're a clever woman. Me as well. Every time sort of
Thank you.
uh, instill change in companies, I first started with those ones who are more receptive to it. I suppose you can just throw a net to the sea and see which fish are coming. What I mean is that you can talk and see who will be excited about the subject and say, I want to take the assessment. I want to be part of it. I think that would be what I would do. But you are right. Any change, you start with the people who are most open to that change, and other people will automatically follow the other ones. I don't know whether that has been an answer to your
Perfect.
question.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Anna, I think you were the next one.
Yes, thank you, Ahmed and Benny. My question is about the management work. We often glorify outliers and top performers, but I would love to hear from you. What about the middle? How do we avoid overlook the majority of people who are the top performers and not celebrating only them, but understand that in large groups of people, we need the middle performance as well. How can we lead about this?
There has been companies in the past who said, I want all my employees to take that assessment, but not necessarily receive any coaching out of it. Just then you share that information with the manager. You say, look, in your team, Maria is motivated from learning. And are you providing that opportunity to her? And Paul is motivated from self-interest. You have to do this, or maybe assertiveness. You have to listen to. So you can do this in your company without involving any coaching. Just I've seen companies who said, I want all my people. I mean, I can tell you McDonald's was one of them, and Vodafone was another one, who basically did it for all their employees and shared that information with the supervisors. And the supervisors were trained, they had the workshop, so they knew how they can motivate their own teams.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have I missed anything from the chat? Okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Anna. Yeah, just a word on that. Is there is another question talking about the culture, right? So I think that if you have the right culture, what Ahmed says makes sense, because what you want is people to be motivated in a good way. So you kind of create a culture where you accept different type of performance. But this thing about being high performance is something that there are studies that show that one of them is from Leonard Moldinov that says that it is impossible to be a high performer all the time. And all the people that have excellent results, really, they have a bad year before. The best leading indicator of a person, now that will perform well next year is he's learning. So in a way, he's failing. He doesn't have the answers. So it's not a big failure that you get, fired, but you don't do well. And then because when you have friction, you learn much more. This person excels next year. And then kind of it's like a sinusoidal curve. This is all in the book of Leonard Moldinov that is called a drunkard walk, right? Yeah, but if you have a culture that makes this mistake of wanting people to be high performant all the time, what you do is you demotivate a lot of people, because you need a cycle to learn, right? But if instead of that you embrace learning as a high performing person, the more you learn, the more you don't need the output. It changed the culture. But it's very interesting to have, because motivation all the time only generates burnout and maniac states that are followed by depression immediately. Yeah.
Flavia, I think, raised her hand. So where's Flavia?
Yeah, just a comment about that, because in one of the first slides you're showing what the blocks there, and then one of the that called my attention was the perfection and try to identify it with me somehow. But at the same time, when sometimes like I feel like I'm making a mistake, as Benny saying, which should be a good process of learning, sometimes I close myself, okay, oh my gosh, I made a mistake, and then that is a kind of sabotage when, okay, I'm not taking this other project because I don't feel like it's so big, it's bigger, right, than the other one, and I feel like, okay, I would not deliver that as with the perfection I wanted, or so it kind of finds like in a way that, okay, motivation versus, you understand what I mean?
I think I do,
Versus
Flavia.
feeling
I think I do. And actually, we all walked that journey. I remember when I was a young guy, I used to sort of make beautiful tables, and my supervisor saying, Ahmed, don't waste time. Just tell me how many, what's the output? And I was still going and making thick lines and blue lines and so forth. And now I'm not perfectionist at all. All of us go through that cycle, but not all of us leave, for example, perfection. If you're going to be a CEO, at one point you have to leave that and let your team be perfectionists, and you look at the big picture. So you have to be able to quit certain things over the time, and that test is a very good one for seeing what you might be doing too much.
Ahmed, there is a question from Rafaela, very interesting, because look, this is something we discussed before. what happened is, she's concerned that when you ask people, we say, well, I want salary, I want promotions. I think that's a good one for you to answer in your experience,
Let me see. Where's the question? I have to see the full question. Okay. Where's that?
I will read it for you. From your experience, do people truly know or openly express what really motivates them? She was concerned that most people will simply say salary or promotions, like
Yes.
that will motivate me.
Of course, I fully agree with her. We don't know it. I mean, I told you my story. I didn't know what motivated me. Actually, I had an assessment that was saying that making other people happy was my top motivator. And of course, logistics has got nothing to do with it. Even when I was the logistics director for Mattel, I was saying, oh, I'm making the toys delivered to the nice kids. So always linked to it. So you don't know. People don't know what motivates them because our brain is so strong. The sort of frontal cortex always says, this is what you should be liking. Don't listen to your heart. So we don't know it. And somehow with a test like that, you can separate what your brain is saying and see what motivates you. People don't know what motivates them, not all of them. When I look at error rates, because in the test you also see how much you know what motivates you, I see some 100%, some 80%, some 60%, and some 40%. Okay, so it's not like we don't know anything about what motivates us. But we make some fatal mistakes sometimes. For example,
The test also is designed in a way that you uncover that, Rafaela. So it's not the obvious answer that will come through, but you have to see how it works. But it's a very nice mathematical algorithm there that in a way uncovers what he's really after. Yeah. So there
you
are
also
many questions.
measure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt is also saying, if I'm honest, not judging motivation is difficult for me. And yet I know my own motivation can be a mixed bag. Right, Matt? Yeah. You want to comment on that?
Yes, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm kind of going back to Matt, what you said about just the art of it, right? And you said not to judge it, and I think I just think that I judge people's motivations, right? And when I think some of them are not honest or upfront, or probably more importantly, hurt me or the team, then I can get prickly. And yet I know I'm not immune to it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. NLP, you all heard about NLP. They filmed in the beginning, they filmed great communicators, or they looked at their films and said, what do they do differently, these people? And they were not judging the people they were speaking to. They were just almost looking at people as if they were looking at a Sudoku and say, how does that work? How do they behave? And believe me, Matt, people who, some of the most successful leaders I have seen, they had left their judgment, the prejudices at home, and they were just listening to people. And you could be even saying your message with a lot of emotions and sometimes with insult, and they filter and they say, what does Ahmed say? So not a good thing to do.
Ahmed, we are, ending. A lot of people, they have obviously another call back to back. So I just want to thank everyone. If you want to keep in touch, there's going to be plenty of opportunities. And last thing I'm going to say, we're starting a creative thinking course, and you will ask me what have creative thinking has to do with motivation. Well, all of it. everything, but you need to do the course to understand how to use creativity as a powerful source of regeneration, improvements, and going through that path of focus and friction. That is what takes to learn. Thank you very much, Ahmed. Brilliant. Thank you very much, and I hope to continue in touch with all of you. Great seeing you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ahmed.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
there
you
were
very
many
much.
interesting. Marinel also said motivation is a cycle, but unfortunately we ran out of time. There were many great stuff there. Great comments. Bueno, Ahmed, I think we're finishing now.
Yes.
Isabella, I think it's still there. No, Leila and Mari, and then you have the fireflies. Yeah, these are not, these are from
Firefly.
people, no? A lot of people. Let's put this in the waiting room. Yeah,
I'm doing
really,
this right now. Okay.
Okay, are we finished?